All right, you ready?
As ready as can be.
Yeah. Well, you have prepared, from what I can see, very well. So I'm gonna assume that there's already a bunch of knowledge that seeped into that brain.
Somewhat. It's been, I think, a rather different experience for most people, because I've been playing solo all the way up until I cleared Lucid normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Including
have a,
Lucid, or just until
yeah, yeah,
Lucid?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
including her. But I've had a hard time actually learning from guides and whatnot, mostly because when I haven't tried it out for myself, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then I
Yeah.
try some of it out and it doesn't work as intended, and I figure it out along the way. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a slow curve, and I spend a lot of meso that's kind of wasted. But I kind of feel like I've hit a point where I'm not exactly sure where to go from. I know I can still just throw more stars on and whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
I have to spend my meso in the best way so I don't fuck up even more. It's more and more expensive, I've noticed.
Yeah, the mistakes get more punishing at this point, right?
Yeah.
So like, well, I guess I'll just make that 40 bill back. It's not as, it doesn't come quite as naturally anymore. True.
Yeah.
Do you have Shrek coins? Where are these things?
Honestly, I just didn't know what you wanted to see, so I just threw in my my coin bag and everything.
This looks like yellow Shrek or something. What is this from? Oh, is
Uh,
this NLC?
I think so.
Is this the
Hold on,
mayor of NLC? I think give him an antenna, turn him green, and it's it's
yeah,
Shrek, right?
it's an LC.
I never knew those coins existed. Okay. Can you still get those?
I have no idea. I don't even remember getting them. It's just when I have coins, I just hold on to them.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that now all of the coin currency is just a bar and or like you just see them when you go to the shop rather than have your inventory just pile up with endless coins
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
because there is no room anymore after a while. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be more specific about the gear and we can go really in depth on that since we do have the time. Is there any other stuff that you're wondering that is in conjunction with the gear, like about general progress for the account as well, or do you feel like you have most of that under control?
Um, I'm not exactly sure what my questions fall in under which category.
Mm-hmm.
I have prepared some, but I feel like it's kind of silly if you're gonna go over it anyways to ask them straight off the bat, because there's something like how I'm gonna go about getting a T7 flame on my weapon, because I don't really know how to actually acquire enough flames and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just gonna be a bunch of random places we're gonna be going if I start out with that. So if you're gonna cover it anyway, I might just sort through it in the end. What you
Yeah, sure.
haven't.
Yeah. Well, so like a few things that we have to. I could just go over like some of the topics first, and you just let me know. Because if you're already at level 263, I assume that a bunch of stuff has already made sense to you, and we don't really need to go over like what boost stones you need to go level, right? That kind of
Yeah, yeah.
like the only thing to mention is that blink is changing. So if you get blinks, you can start leveling that up. No shit, you don't have that
Yeah,
one. That's the
I
only thing.
just
I guess everything else you seem to be like further than I am with my nodes. So
no, it's just because I've been stacking up on the nodes and actually getting a bossing mule up and running, so I haven't opened nodes for a long time.
I see.
So that's why I don't have any blinks.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I recently got my first two just in opening nodes to get my my character building for my leveling sessions. So that's where I got my first ones. All the old ones all disappeared as well. Rightfully so,
Yeah,
because it was garbage before, so it doesn't matter.
I do have one question about the nodes though,
Mm-hmm.
which was one of the ones I wanted to ask. Is I know there's the purple nodes which goes away, but I'm not exactly sure which one's actually useful and which one's are garbage. So I've
Special node?
always,
Yeah.
yeah, I've
Um,
already just disenchanted them or whatever.
yeah. Well, they only last a week, so you don't want to wait around for that because it's a lot of shards as well, right? So
Yeah.
if you're training long sessions, character building is pretty good. It triggers quite often. It triggers like when you get hit X amount of times within X amount of time within an X amount of time frame. But anything that can give you extra experience when it doesn't take away your kill speed, like for example, if you replace it with Freud's, it's not like you're using that when you're mobbing, right? You're probably using some extra of your boost nodes when you're training, I'm guessing?
No, actually I just held on to those because I heard that at some point it would make sense if I got high enough to just edit some of the random ones I didn't already have because of Spirit Flow.
Yeah. Right, because Spirit Flow triggers like random skills, and if all of them get buffed, then that just increases your overall DPS.
Yeah, but it's basically just 3 random ones, because I haven't really figured out which ones would be best to actually put in there when I actually had 2 slots to spare.
Yeah, but I guess when you're training, the regular regular Overdrive, Freud's, and the Blessing kind of don't do much for you, I guess.
No.
So you could replace those with, like at least one of those, I guess, with the special node.
Yeah.
What I started doing now, because I don't know when you train, like where do you train? Do you train in Cernium or?
No, it's been just Limina, because I just prefer getting the more meso. I pretty much do everything in my shade. I did level Arcana and prep it for meso farming, but I realized I hated it.
Okay.
And
So
I kind of felt like I was wasting my time with all the XP just going towards a character I didn't like. So I figured I'd just get lower rates and do it in the shade.
Yeah, the Kana will be good value if you don't have like a block of 2 hours available for a totem, but you do want to make some money. Or if you need to like min-max, there's an event and you need to make a lot of money and you run out of totems. Because like totemless training is still kind of eh.
Yeah.
Those rates are kind of dookie, so it's good to have the Kana backup then to fill in those gaps.
Yeah.
So for training, it's called Character Building 1. That's a pretty good one. There's a few other ones that can give you experience, but those are really, really, really unreliable. Like, there's one that gives you a little bit of experience for a very short duration every time you activate a rune. So it activates once every 15 minutes, so it's kind of eh.
Yeah, okay.
For bosses where the survivability might be difficult, there's a rune, I don't know the exact name, but it can refill your HP. Oh, my game is... Oh no, it's up. I guess I can find a node master, but there's like a healing familiar. There's like a weaker version and a stronger version where every X amount of seconds it just full heals your character, and it does go through heal block. So that can help with survivability with harder bosses, although you're more experienced with Shade than I am, so your survivability is probably really good already.
It doesn't feel like I need it, but it's always nice to have the option open at least. Because
Yeah.
right now I literally just don't know what's actually good.
It's called... Is it Auto Recovery? Here, Auto Recovery 2, I believe, is what it's called. Yeah, every 30 seconds fully recovers your HP whenever you use a skill, which is just all the time. So every 30 seconds, it'll just, boom, automatically trigger. And that's those skills when they trigger, that's when you see like the V pop up over your head. If you haven't used those. But if you see other people using that, then they're using one of those. And then there's one more that you can use to min-max for damage. So this is mainly when you're in a party and you want to do hard lucid, for example, but everyone's scraping it really close and you don't know if you're going to make it with the party, for example. Or if you're trying to solo and you want to min-max your damage on it. Which is called, I think it's on the second page here, Fatal Strikes. It gives you 100% damage for 2 seconds every 30 seconds. So hopefully that triggers twice during a 40-second BA for hard lucid, for example. And then for at least for 4 total seconds, you'll have extra 100% damage, which is a nice little boost. But as far as I know, there's at least one other that some people use, but that's more for Kana. Like there's one that resets your cooldowns, I believe. Where is it? Relentless Attack. I think it's Relentless Attack. Reduces cooldowns of all your skills by 20%. When combo kills are multiples of 50. Activates once every 75 seconds. Yeah, I think that's one that people use on Kana farmers to make sure that their Lucid Soul can get 100% uptime. But so that's pretty high levels of min-maxing. Aside from that, I think everyone just extracts every single one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess archers use lethal strike instead of fatal strike, like in the same situation, because it increases your critical rate, and then the critical rate goes um, into your vicious shot and gives you critical damage instead, which is skills better than the boss damage.
Oh, okay.
And you need to attack like a lot of times, and usually archers have, you know, a lot of sources of damage with like a lot of lines going out, so they can hit that number. Non-archers can't hit those numbers, or like a mechanic or something might, but you know, getting 100% crit rate on a mechanic doesn't really help you very much. So yeah, so other than that, just major extracting. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, anything else for notes?
No, I think it was like the only one there.
Okay, cool. So you got your passive skills, active skills, all the training. So you're in limit. Have you tried to go into Cernium? Like, how was your kill speed there?
It was okay in bossing gear at least, but I still only have 20 simple power there. So it's not one shots unless I'm buffed up with the temporary buffs as well.
Yeah, and like guild skills and stuff like that in the rotation, right? Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing that too, yeah.
Consistent way.
No, for sure. It's a lot of yeah, you have to just buff everything. But it's a huge payoff. I mean, yeah, you more than double the, at least for me, more than double the rates for EXP, but yeah, less than half the meso and no droplets, no familiars, so it's definitely a price you pay there.
But I haven't quite figured out if it's worth for me to favor the XP over just getting more meso, because I don't really know what's in it for me to just level higher. Obviously I want to, but does it need to be like the priority over just making more meso?
Yeah, we can check out what makes more sense for you. So you filled in the ID calculator, so I assume that that's all clear how all that works.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how much I need for specific bosses. I just heard that 95 was a good place to stop, so I've been sort of aiming for that.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to what boss you're fighting, but it also comes down to, you know, how many sources of ID do you have. I'm guessing right now there's not too much coming from your familiars, right? Are your familiars giving you boss damage?
I have an ID and I have boss damage familiars as well, but I haven't been using the ID that much because it's usually the one I sub out for a healing familiar.
Right, so you have 230 boss, 130 IED, and then healing, yeah. Because the idea is that if you can have enough IED with a familiar, then that like maybe even over a bossing one, then that will allow you to reroll maybe an ID line from your WSE for damage instead, and then that could help you scale better. But of course, right now we're a little bit of an in-between situation because we'll have to see how the reboot passive, how that's going to change, right?
Yeah.
Because we know how it's going to change, but how it's going to impact us specifically in GMS.
Yeah, true. Also, I don't know if I heard it's really freaking expensive to go for like 3 lines attack on the emblem. So I don't know if that's like the best thing to go for right now, because I still have a lot of stuff that's not even 20.
Yeah, I guess I can look specifically at your WSE first. So you got 2 boss attack, boss attack, ID attack. Yeah. There's a lot of boss in there, but that's gonna scale up.
Yeah.
And there was talks. I didn't see an exact confirmation, but there was talks of redoing the 20% boss lines on Legendary. In KMS, they're at least pushing that to remove the 20% lines on Legendary, and hopefully just replace those by 30% lines instead.
Oh, okay.
If that does happen, that should mean an instant 20% for you, which is should be nice.
Well, as soon as I switched to the arcane one, then I already got rid of one of the boss lines.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just been a bit slow because I've only recently started doing Lucid and Will in parties because I kind of felt like I hit the wall to how far I could push on my own.
Yeah, solo. I'm actually already pressed with solo Lucid because it's pretty annoying to do that with the golem restrictions, right? Did it take you many attempts?
Not a lot of attempts, but I was more getting used to the mechanics because I feel like Shade have a really nice kit to deal with most of it, especially now that we can block the bomb again with Takano. You can reset that with Spirit Flow as well.
Yeah, there's another mechanic coming for Lucid as well, where you have a portal that shows up, and you can, if you go near the portal when a bomb explodes, it counts as if there's another person there, so it cuts the bomb explosion down. Plus the change of the golems coming, that they are going to take regular damage instead of set damage per line for easy and normal Lucid difficulty, so that should make it, at least for way more people possible, to do what you've been doing, and to actually solo all the way up to normal Lucid. But then Will is definitely another case. It's possible, but yeah, it definitely slows down severely when you get to that point. Yeah. Have you tried solo Will?
I have attempted it. I've done it duo with my brother, but I'm just horrible at keeping track of when the test comes. So if I'm not in the blue or purple one, whichever it actually shows up in, then I usually die from the
right
test starting.
Yeah, you gotta set some kind of alarm or something when you're doing the boss. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure when you have to actually start it. Is it like right as the spider screen crack thing comes, or is it after we're done with the?
For phase 1 or phase 2?
The phase 1.
So the phase 1, it triggers based on yeah, it just like, so the first one starts around 1 minute and 10 seconds in. So like when you hit 2850 on the clock, around there is a test, but sometimes it's delayed a bit, sometimes it isn't. So at that point you have to start keeping an eye out. So it's like if it's like 2850 and it's like tapping down and you don't see it, typically you should change to the other one and it should be right there. But if it was delayed and it isn't there, then you have to like switch back. Like, yeah, if you're soloing and you have a little bit of a delayed run, it's very easy for it to go bad.
Yeah. Built-in door though, so that helps a lot.
Yeah, true. And then after that, it should be just every 2 minutes, but it slows down it slows down a little bit. So it's like an extra 2 minutes and 1 second, or an extra 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So it's like at 1850, and then it's like around 1650, but usually it's closer to like 1648 or 1649, and then it's like 1448 or 1447, like around there. So it's like the even numbers, and then around 50, and then slowly going down. The longer the more tests you do in phase 1, the more it goes off the 50 downwards. But it's always like the even number in minutes.
Okay.
And then
the timer starts like straight at the screen crack appearing, or what? Like
yeah, it should be that the eye appears, and then when the eye appears, you have a few more seconds to switch, and then it cracks, and then if that people die from that, then you're gonna be stuck there for a bit. Yeah. So if you just have someone who can just be in the other dimension just to look, that could be a good place to start.
Yeah, I don't feel like the boss has been that much of a struggle in a party run environment.
You're doing hard for both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it feels like you just, with solely just the healing familiars, I can pretty much just stand there and wait. That's like not much upkeep. Barely even need moonlight.
True. In phase 3, it's good to moonlight the corners, of course, to make sure that your teammates don't get dumpstered by things. I'm sure as a Shade, you're just dancing around the middle and not really getting pushed back and not really getting hit that much. But everyone else is usually struggling with that a little bit more.
Well, they're a struggle, not mine, right?
So yeah, I guess like to go to the question on like why would you want to level, what is there to do? I mean, there's the Tenebra's bosses that are way more viable to get to now than they've ever been in Verisilla and in Gloom and Darknell, and the harder bosses for those. And they, since Neo, have also been added to the drop table for for arcane drops.
Oh, okay.
So
That's good to know.
in leveling and having access to those bosses and to a party that can do those bosses, you could like indirectly get your droplets in the form of drops, is the idea.
Hmm.
So
Well, that's still you still need to do hard modes, right?
yeah, so Varys Hilla, she has the same drop table as Lucid, and then Chaos Gloom and Chaos Darkness have the same drop table as well. And then Black Mage has the same drop table as Varys Hilla as well, but that's a little bit further down the road. But Varys Hilla would be a boss that you could do very well on, given your class, plus given you're already really close. The only thing is like Hard Darknell is level 265, so you need to, like 2 more levels there to do your full damage, and you know, an extra 5 if you want to do your like max damage, but or up to 10 I guess, because they're changing that as well, right? The amount of levels above the monster that will allow you to deal more final damage is going to go up to 10 also in a future update. So even up to 10 levels above the boss, instead of doing 10% more final damage in Reboot, we'll do up to 20% more. So that'll also speed things up. Definitely if you want to go back and solo later, but it's also specifically to help people with liberation, right? If they're going to go back to do the bosses, that they'll have a better fighting chance of actually clearing those bosses to liberate their Genesis weapons.
I guess I gotta kill him first before I actually worry about liberating.
Yeah, true. But you're in that area, right, where all of that stuff is going down. So it is something to think about. Is like, how far do you want to push the character? But I think something like Varys Hilla, with some practice, I find myself not to be that much of a mechanical god. But Varys Hilla was a bit trickier to get used to than Will. But once you get used to it, it's actually easier. It's a little bit more like, it's easier, but if something goes wrong, it's also, you get punished way harder. So you do have to stay on the ball and stay focused, and you have to have like a very definitive shot caller who calls stuff out at the right time. That's important, more so than for Will. I mean, you just need someone in the dimension and like yell blue or purple, right? And that's kind of what Will is, or like crack or stay or something like that, right? Like that, those are the only calls. But you have to be more aware of all the timings of when to cleanse, when to take stacks for Varys Hilla. But again, like the healing familiars carry Varys Hilla very, very hard. Usually you just cleanse once to cleanse all the stacks of people who got hit, to like cleanse their skulls in the boss fight, so they keep all of their lives, so to speak. And then, you know, she just sits in the corner, you pop all your buffs, you just wail on her a little bit, and then, you know, when all the when the bind is over and stuff like that, you move out of it and you just move around, wait for the next like screen crack, which is kind of like a test, I guess. It's a little bit of a, but the timing on those is more important to know, because it speeds up constantly throughout the run as she transforms, and she does extra skills that are harder as she transforms. But it's not like you're going to a different map. It's not like, you know, the environment changes. That all stays the same, so it's more straightforward, I guess. But it's a more complicated boss fight, but I feel like once you get the hang of it, it's actually not that bad. Chaos Gloom and Chaos Darknell are more the ones where it's just a clusterfuck, and even if you have a super strong party that can do it very quickly, there's still a lot that just is going on. If you're in a uber strong party, you can like single burst Darknell, for example. Like if you have a 0 with you who could just lock him down forever, you know, you can shade debuff. You have a DPSers, you have Domain that just wailing on him. You could kill him in like one burst and just laugh at it. But there are more things to those bosses that can go wrong, definitely. They're kind of like the version of Hard Lotus compared to Hard Damien, where you're like, oh, Hard Damien's just more HP, it's whatever. And then Hard Lotus is like, okay, there's way more stuff going on. And yeah, I would say that Hard Darknell kind of feels like you're fighting 3 Hard Lotuses in the same map kind of thing, where there's just so much stuff going on, right? Because he summons all of those elite bosses, and those have their own attacks and appear, and then the later part of the HP, even more of them appear. So yeah, that's what you have to like wiggle your way through, parkour through all the attacks.
But since I haven't been progressing those yet, I still don't know exactly what they're doing.
I think so. Have you tried solo normal Gloom?
No, I've only really been going for trying to do Will. I kind of just doing them in order as they showed up over Arcane River because I just figured that was the difficulty curve.
Yeah. Well, the thing with that, and you probably also noticed that with Lucid, is that certain boss mechanics can be more of a kit check for a character at some point rather than a damage or mechanics check. Like if you don't have the amount of lines to clear the golems in Lucid, and you can't overcome them with like survivability otherwise, then you're just boned, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone should be able to do them in that order, and the further you go, the more distinct those differences become. Because, like with Will as well, someone can just put like a summon on the other side during the test, and then they can be hitting the thing so that balls will drop, and then you can get those balls to get a shield in the phase 1 test, and then you're done. But if you don't have any kind of summon to put in the other side, you have to like get a Lucid Soul or something to install in the other dimension, right? Like you have to get really, smart about what are the things that you can do with your class specifically to do this boss. Because if bosses were designed as a team fight, I notice this as well when I'm doing Project CRA. Like some classes, it's just very easy. You just bind and burst, and Clown is dead. But some classes can't do that, and you have DOT, AOE, all of your skills, and it's like impossible almost to do it. It's way harder. So some bosses are kit checks until you can use the strongest mechanic in the game, which is damage, of course, and then just blow them up anyway. So I think you can do normal Gloom. I'm pretty sure you can. But you know, if you want to specifically do them in order, that's up to you. But if you do at some point want to do Chaos Gloom, it's a good idea to get some practice in with normal Gloom at least, to kind of figure out like what kind of skills are you looking for, what is the rhythm of the attacks, like, you know, how long do you have to dodge things, where do you go up, where do you go down, like what are the things just to get a little bit of a feel. Because like you said, you can read a guide and there can be a lot of information and great guides, but until you go in there and do it yourself, it's something else.
Yeah, and it's not like I want to do them in order either way. It's just I've just been thinking that was how
it's worked so far, right?
Yeah, it worked. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely gonna try to look into his patterns and maybe get some practice in. Because I actually really enjoy, even though I don't really get that far in a long time, just doing the progress thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I can't kill it, it's mostly what I enjoy in the game.
Yeah, and with every practice, you'll get a little bit further, hopefully.
Yeah.
Until you kind of hit the wall. But I think Solo Gloom, I think that's definitely possible. Solo Dark Knell, I'm not sure. It might be. Because you do have the survivability, so you can just do like War of Attrition kind of thing, where you just wear him down over time.
I've been really lucky in general just with the Shade Link. It feels like I go into every boss fight with 6 doors equipped.
It goes, you have like a higher chance as a Shade, right?
You have one that's guaranteed, but after that I think it's the same. I don't know. It's okay. It just doesn't say anything different in my skill window than when I have it transferred to immune.
Okay. It's not like 15% or 20%.
I think it's still just 10, but I don't know, honestly.
All you know is it works sometimes, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not dying. Okay, yeah, but so I guess bosses wise, but I think that at least for me, that was my motivator to finally start leveling again and to start making parties, to get used to the bosses, so that when the bosses came out with the new drop table, that there was a chance for the arcane drops. And of course there's a minuscule chance for the pitch boss items as well, but you'll have to discuss that with your party to see like who gets to loot what in what order. Some people don't care about certain items, and then you can jump to the front of the list for that. Some people care about other items, and then you have to wait, you know.
Yeah. Noticed a lot of the boss parties have been very different from when you're solo. It was so confusing when people were stacking up with bombs in the beginning. I was like, what kind of easy mode is this? Usually iframes, boys, something like that.
Yeah, but if you iframe in a party, then someone else just gets the bomb, yeah.
Yeah, but you're thinking still use Will. My brother and I were doing it when we were practicing earlier on. But I guess it's, as you said, it's not the same kits we all have, so some people just can't deal with it if it happens to
Exactly, yeah. If you have a pink barrier, then you just stand in it with 2 people even, you already take so little damage. If you're like 4 people. But a lot of times you also get 2 bombs, right, when you're in a group. If someone is dead and you get 2 bombs and you're 5 people, and one person isn't there, and one person isn't full HP, then a lot of people can get nuked. So, yeah, it is a little bit more risky than solo. But yeah, like I said, the other bomb mechanic for Lucid should make that a lot less risky as well. For solos and duos and stuff like that, yeah. But yeah, you have to play it a little bit differently, and you have to synchronize your buffs, right? That's another main thing, is that you have to like look for who's the biggest burster in the party. Is their burst up? Is it not up? Is domain up? And then synchronize things together and call those out. That's the big important thing if you want to make your run go smoother and faster. And for some people, faster means with a bigger chance to survive.
Yeah.
You probably noticed doing hard will phase 3 that a lot of people tend to die to the stay move thing. Not everyone could just flash jump through the air and be 100% safe. A lot of people need to do some weird teleporting stuff from the top platform down, or ethereal form, and just pray.
Yeah, I noticed the mages usually have a much rougher time.
Yeah. Yeah, they just don't have the survivability, sadly. So they have to rely on the runs being as short as possible, which means optimizing your output. And cleansing. Cleansing a lot is useful. But yeah, I mean, hopefully for bossing that gives you a bit of motivation there, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna look into Gloom at least. Probably try out Dark Neil as well, but...
I think for normal, you probably have a good chance, I think.
Alright.
He's quite annoying though, but...
I've only tried him like 2 or 3 times in a party group, just because people wanted to get the red course capped.
Right, the course. Now is a good time for that as well, that you can... Yeah, if you could do the normal clears, because the normal clears, actually the crystal is pretty good value for Gloom. Yeah. I think it's 160 mil or something? 150? Oh, yeah. So that's not too shabby, right?
No, that's pretty good. I think it's higher than any I've gotten so far.
Yeah, because Gloom is 148.8 and Dark Nail 158. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, so together they're like 300 mil if you can get them.
Oh shit, Black Mage, 1.5 million. A bit.
1.5 billion, yeah. But it's always 6 people, so.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I think it should be that high, maybe even higher, honestly.
Yeah, it's once a month as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the main thing. It's not like you can just farm him or something. Yeah.
Gotta get those Black Mage mules up and running.
Yeah, there's still the pressure as well in Korea to see if they can increase the value of the boss crystals more compared to the Mezzo, right? Because the boss crystal value is only 3 times that of non-reboot.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a bit off compared to the...
and the Mezzo is 5, and for us it's 6. So if they're pushing for that and they succeed, it would be cool to see if our boss crystal value could double. That would be pretty nice for reboot.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially since we're losing the flames and the cubes next week, so that's a bit rough.
Yeah, that didn't exactly sit well with me either, because...
Yeah, you got that bossing mule, right?
Yeah. I was kind of hoping it would increase the...
Yeah, I've been doing it for so long now. If I add up all of the cubes and all of the flames I've gotten from my bossing, it's in the dozens of billions in value for sure. They've helped fund my entire account. If I had to make all of that money by training or by having a farming character, that'd be so much extra time spent. Maybe less time spent, but like time spent that I wouldn't enjoy, right? And you know what that means. You've done the Kana thing, so...
Yeah, true.
That does bring me into the other thing, though, is that what they're going to add is they're going to add more cubes and flames to the Legion shop, and that is also where we're going to see Eternal Flames being able to be bought, up to 30 per week, I think. So that could be a place where you were talking about trying to get a better flame for your weapon. That could be a good influx of Eternal Flames for you.
Is that going to be account-wide, or is it...
Account-wide, yeah, account-wide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I looked that up yesterday because someone was asking. There's some per character, but I believe it's... I believe those are Epic Potential Scrolls. I think it was part of the anniversary event, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this one. Yeah. Union. Yeah. So adding 100% epic potential scrolls for 300 coins. That's a little bit unlike. Hello. And that's a limit of 2 per character. And then Karma Craftsman Cubes 30 per world. Karma Powerful Flames 20 per world. Karma Eternal Flames 20 per world. And then Karma Black Flames also 20 per world. So that you could potentially use those as well, but this gets pretty expensive. Like the Eternal Flames is going to be 150 coins each, and the Karma Black Flames 250 each.
Yeah, currently I'm not one of those people who sits on like hundreds of thousands of those.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to be one of those people. That just means you don't play enough, right? How much are you sitting on though? 1,000. Okay, you have 7k. So that might be like in the long term for that thing. If the value of the coins, I guess, goes up, right? That might mean that going for a higher legion might be a good way of capitalizing on that.
I'm trying to push it as well. I've just been doing it a lot lately, so I'm not getting burned out, but I'm just getting burned out on doing legion. But I am gonna get the upcoming Zero and the burning event as well, so at least that's gonna be somewhat close by 7,500.
You have let's see. These are the 40 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be that much, right? Because if you tear burn to, would you get the tear burn to 210 or to 220? Like you're going for a level 3 link, or?
I guess no, because right now I'm not really missing any links. I am missing level 3 links, which is also a question I wanted to ask. If it was better to go for level 3 instead of just getting one of the ones I'm still missing for just flat strength or ID boss or whatever they give for just being on the grid.
Which ones are you missing? Because I see Arc at 140. A 210 Arc would be really valuable.
Yeah, okay. I think it's mostly just the flat strength. So far I've only really thought about doing Dawn Warrior for the 80 strength.
Right.
I didn't know if that was worth compared to just burning something I already had.
And Explorer Warriors and stuff, right? Those are... Yeah. So you're planning on making a Zero. Do you already have a Beast Tamer?
Yeah, it's...
Oh, there. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of NX'd out, so it's hard to recognize from a distance which one is which.
Yeah. It's most of the ones I actually enjoyed a little bit and thought about maybe I wanted to make that a bossing mule someday that got something. But...
Yeah. Oh, it's MapleStory music. I've forgotten. Let's see. So which ones don't you have yet? I think the Explorer Warriors. I saw those missing. Those like
yeah,
the
I only have
things.
the Paladin. Can't remember exactly what I'm missing. I think
Kaiser, Buccaneer, Cannoneer. Do you have those?
Yeah, I have those. I'm missing the Dawn Warrior. I'm missing the...
The Dawn Warrior doesn't give strength. Dawn Warrior gives HP.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Yeah. Dawn Warrior and Mihal give HP, so those were the ones I went for on my DA, you know, just to get a little bit more.
Okay.
Thunderbreaker, do you have that one?
I have only 140 though, but yeah.
I guess Dark Knight would be the one.
Oh yeah. That's strength and that would
and
probably be the one.
Yeah. And Arc will give more, so I think if you tear burn the Arc to get the level 3 link for extra 5% damage, and for the higher strength bonus, I think that would be a nice gain for you. Plus, it could also become a bossing mule if they do change something, because even Arc at 210 is can do quite a lot of bosses.
Okay.
What was the current Terra burn that you have?
Yeah, what the hell? I burned my Adele, which I finally managed to actually make a bossing mule, because most of them has just been leveling and then thought about making them, but I never really got around to it, because mostly I just enjoy sitting on my shade.
Yeah. That's good.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you're still enjoying it after that much time. That's good. So the Adele got the fake weapon. Who did you give that one to?
And that's actually on my bishop, which I'm not really planning to return to, which is unfortunate. But
Mm.
the Adele is already decked out with full Abso and
Yeah, exactly.
Fafnir and full 17, and it's gonna get the heart in the shop as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The rings, but I
Mhm.
think it's done for now.
Yeah, it'll be done for a while with that. You can probably get to 250 and even get to like Hard Lucid, Hard Will, because Adele is just bonkers kit. So as long as you get all the other stuff up there, maybe push the CRA a little bit more past 17, but you can probably get to Hard Lucid, Hard Will in a party without.
Yeah,
They
for
don't
now
need
it
that
was,
much.
yeah, for now it was mainly just pushing it a little bit extra, just because I rather want a bossing mule that stomps all over them than one
Mhm.
where I have to partially struggle around.
Yeah. It's time efficiency wise. Sometimes it's nice to struggle. I think that first time, but like if I know I have to go back and struggle again. I'm first gonna throw money at it and then just roll over them the second time. I'm like, yeah, I'm really adamant about struggling the first time because that's like where I get my value, but never a second time. Fuck that.
Not if you have the choice, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I have 70 bill in my inventory, but I'm gonna like waste my fucking time doing this thing which I know I already can because I already did it. It's like, hell no. I'm either gonna make it easier or go do something else. Yeah.
And that's also just a waste of time compared to just go out there and farm some meso instead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like the same as, oh, I have 3,000 cold cubes. I'm gonna use that to try to get things from rare to epic, where I can also just buy one pack of black cubes and just get it done immediately and make the money back with like one boss fight. That's kind of the same thing. It's just very inefficient after a certain time. Yeah, so I guess with this lineup, I would probably advise to Terrorburn the Arc. So you can get the strength and the extra damage all the time, right? The Solus is a very, very good link skill.
Yeah, I could probably also just do the Dark Knight on non-burning to 140, then I would have gained 80 strength anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then the Zero come in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it will require either some crazy bonking events. Have you bought those bonking level up potions already?
Yeah, I was hoping they got my Lumi high enough, but it was kind of unfortunate with the level gains, because I wanted to spend the Punch King currency on getting it to 210, because I really dislike Lumi.
Right. You don't like it? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't like mages myself, but they are Lumi do have really good AoEs and just hitting everything, so that does help them. Even if it's not fun, it does make it quite fast compared to a lot of other characters, and quite simple as well. So you can just, yeah, for me, I just turned my brain off and then just, it kind of played itself, you know, you just hold down the reflection and kind of levels up, yeah.
I'm gonna get it to 210 one way or another at least.
Yeah, I guess that's the main thing I would do, is to try to get some 210s. I guess the Phantom to 210 isn't as important anymore because you already have such a decked out Legion, but getting that extra crit usually still for other characters can help them if you want to boost them to 200. Because I'm thinking, for example, if you want to get the Angelic Buster to 210 for the Link skill as well. If I remember correctly, Angelic Buster has very high critical damage but pretty low critical rate. So being able to increase that critical rate with all of the sources that you have will allow it to train quite a bit faster as well. But I would, yeah, if you're going up to 8k, I would focus on the level 3 links first, is what I would do.
Alright.
And then, because once you have those, you can use those to level up the other characters that you want to get to 200 to round out your 8k. And then you can just take whatever class you think is the strongest and will get there the fastest. Throw all of your links on there, throw your Legion on there, turn your brain off, and then, yeah, probably ideally the ones that give you strength, right? So you can get a bunch of 200s. And the, oh no, wait, I said the Dark Knight. Doesn't the Dark Knight give HP % as well? I know. Must have missed. Yeah, it's not the Dark Knight. It's the Hero and the Paladin. My bad, yeah. Dark Knight gives a percentage HP. I don't know why I said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that's just what they do.
Then the Arc would probably still be better than 5%.
Yep.
guessing. Okay, so it's gonna be arc then, I guess. I'm gonna be burning.
Yeah, count efficiency wise, that seems like your bet. And then once you hit the 5th job, you'll fall in love, make it your new main. Bye bye Shade, and then. Nah, I'm just kidding. I think, but yeah, no. As far as Knuckle users go, I think it's a pretty cool class. You know, like it a bit. Spend some time on it.
I definitely felt like the Shade was one of those that where the 5th job really fit in nicely. I know like most of them get some really nice 5th job, but it kind of built on what was already there.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. And I got to save a keybind since True Spirit Claw. Take up.
That thing is so satisfying though. You just like woof, like the map kind of disappears. Yeah. Archive's kind of a similar thing where if you use your Endless Stream, Endless Nightmare, that you have like an empowered version of that as well that like shoots out and kills a whole part of the map. Not like in an AoE around you, but like in a scythe formation in front of you, basically. It's also kind of cool. That also saves a keybind because we already, God knows, we have enough of those. We have. I feel like pirates have so many good skill nodes that we all want to use, and then you just run out of room real quick. You're lucky that you don't have a bunch of. Well, I guess Arc doesn't have a bunch of buffs either. We have Maple Warrior and Booster, and then that's it. So.
Yeah, kind of looking forward to throwing the decents on the pets when that happens.
Yeah, especially for a class like Shade, where those aren't really being occupied by anything else. So.
No, exactly.
Yeah, level 3 links, 0 coming in, the burn. Yeah, well, like you were saying, like 7.5, you do have to take into account that if you're gonna make a Terror burn over what you have now, even if you get it to 210, that's only 78 levels increase, right?
Oh, they don't.
Because only your 40 highest levels count.
Ah, okay.
So it'll replace whatever's our lowest level that's counting now. So it's not going to be a flat increase anymore. That's why, you know, pushing past 40 characters, pushing past 6k, that gets like significantly slower.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting it to be somewhat of a breeze since I had like 13 more slots.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Sadly, it does not work like that. We see the Legion character 1 out of 40, so those are the exact 40 now that are counting. It'll go up to 41, but then that means that whatever is the 41st character in the list is not counting towards your total level. There is there's like a chair that you can sit on. I think of a Hall of... Oh no, I think I have it actually on my arc here. What is it? Hall of Heroes? And this one does take the level of all your characters in your account together, so this one can go over. Like this one is almost 11,000 for me. But that just takes the level of all the characters in your account, which is, you know, kind of cheating, because... yeah, because that's not your Legion level, but sometimes you can sit on that, people think it's your Legion level and go crazy, yeah.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
Just ruined my day there.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, yeah, just gotta put your feet back on solid ground, you know? It's not gonna be that simple. Other than that, your setup is fine, and there is a little bit more of the IED that you can grow into, which is good, because that kind of circles back to what you were saying before about IED. Like the 95 is like a number that's kind of out there. The 93 is a number that was out there for a long time. The main thing when it comes to IED is that depending on how much access you have, how expensive that access is, opportunity cost wise, right, versus boss damage and attack, like how much damage are you gaining versus how much damage are you losing, compared to what was I saying, how much the boss needs. All of those things together kind of dictate what is a good number to be at. I do have my progression grid. Are you familiar with that one?
I think I've seen it, but it's just been fast at some point. I haven't really used your commands that much because there's so many, and again I get overwhelmed a bit fast with information like that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I was actually looking at it not too long ago.
So for this one, you can see the IED, right? The functional IED. You're familiar with functional versus visual?
Yeah.
So 95 is like fine, but eventually you will go over, and that is also fine to go over because of how it works, right? With the final damage reduction, and the higher level bosses all having 300% PDR. So even just being at 95 functional, that still means you're losing 15% of your final damage when fighting a boss. And even just, you know, 1% extra IED functionally gets you from losing only 12% of your final damage versus losing 15%. And when it comes to upgrading all of your other stuff, so maybe not right now, but when it comes to all of your other stuff being so expensive to get stronger and to get the equivalent of like 3% or a little bit more final damage increase versus getting a little bit more IED, it might just make better sense to go for the IED instead. But I think in your situation, there's still some room to move into more IED, specifically just by filling out the Legion grid with more characters. And the other thing, this is like very obtuse, I guess, but do you need that one critical rate to hit 100%?
No, I don't need it. It was just to get to the boss damage.
Yeah, because you could just move that middle line one down. It'll still go through the middle, it'll still count, and then you have your one block extra that can go into IED. Because there's like one little block missing in IED as well, and it's like right there.
I don't know why I didn't think of that, actually.
It's, I mean, when you have your setup for so long, sometimes you just need someone else to look at it and be like, hey, have you considered this? You're like, oh, I haven't. Okay. This does probably mean that you have to redo the whole right side, though, because it's going to be like one sticking out now.
Great. That didn't take a long time.
Well, you do have the pre-programmed one, right? Have you used that one? The Legion Solver?
I think I tried it out. It was just running for a very long time. I don't know if I marked too many squares or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up doing it manually instead.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing that you could do to use this manually better, live solve, region click, is you can also just take, like, you have to make sure that the left side is completely correct, right? That you have all of the ones that you actually have. That's a great thing also about working on more than 40 characters, is that you have more wiggle room in the pieces there, and you have more solutions to do what you want. That's why I ended up making one of each character, regardless of, you know, you definitely have the same priority that you did, but well, if it isn't, oh, but eventually, if you do want to switch to other characters, you want to maximize your setup for the other character, then eventually having one of each just gives you the chance of always having the access to the ideal, because the grid setup is going to be the same, but then the ideal member setup, that's going to be the main crux later on. So I guess you would go for like this, right? Something like this would be what you want. Then what you could do is have the pieces and only do... yeah, because you don't need crit, so that's kind of unlucky. Because then for mules, what I like to do is I like to make one preset for the non-mages and then one preset for the mages. And then in the one for the mages, of course, I throw all of those flat intellect guys in there. So I get way more intellect when I'm leveling up. But I guess if you're going for 8k, you might not have to go that hard. You can probably get to 8k without needing to get any of the mages to 200, except for the ones with level 3 links. But the... what I usually had is I had a little bit of crit as well, and then that would allow me to take these pieces, so basically build it like this if possible, and then move all these pieces and transpose them to there if I was mobbing, and then back here if I was bossing, and basically just do that in one of my setups. And in the other setup, you could also unlock a third setup and just do that with the third setup, but I'm pretty stingy with my coins, even though I have that many. So I decided to do it this way instead. But then you would have to like take the pieces that you get from this setup out of the equation here, and then basically do this and only this with the pieces left, and then run it again. Do like the life solve again, and then take those out of the equation, I guess. But the more pieces you have, the more flexibility you have with that. If not, you just have to do the whole thing in one go. Yeah, I've got like a random assortment of pieces here. 20 level 200 pirates, which obviously isn't a thing. But if you reset, I don't think it... Oh, I can, okay. Now I have a lot of thieves. What if I only have like 8 of these? So you can fuck around with it a little bit, but like it finds a solution pretty quickly. But you'll see it always does this, right? It always like bleeds over like this.
Yeah.
And then if you want to move, that makes it harder if it's a really tight squeeze. So yeah, they'll be up to you like how much you want to min-max that and how many situations you really need it for. But the thing is, now when you're training, you want to optimize for training, right? So you want to move all of the Legion, you want to move your hyper stats, you want to get that character building in there. You know, whatever you can do to just squeeze out the extra EXP to make it worth, right? You do all that?
Yeah, just
Spirit Pendant, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday, it was the day before, we also mentioned that you could basically have Spirit Pendant the entire month, which I didn't know either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like 1 or 2 days you'll be without, but other than that, you can have it up. Yeah, Dojo is a very important tool for that. It's only 3 day, but it helps you fill in the gaps.
Yeah, luckily I have been doing that, so I have plenty of Dojo coins for that.
Mm-hmm. Good. And that's another thing is that people have been going for the Mugong Soul as well. Don't know how eager you are to get that one.
No idea what it does. I've just been going with whatever soul.
It's 10 seconds of 30% attack.
Oh, okay.
Which for like an initial burst on a big boss can be quite a bit. It's like it's kind of like a mini Ozring, and if you do have the whole selection complete, the whole book page complete, it goes up to 20 seconds, but that's of course going to be very, very difficult because there's a very good chance you get duplicates, and you're heavily time gated on that one, so it'll be like year plus from now before anyone gets that.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's 5 weeks for one attempt, and there's probably 7, I'm guessing. Do I even have it on a button? I don't. I think 7, right? Because it's a low tier soul, so there's less variance. Yeah, 7. So you have to get 7 different ones, and you can only get one every 5 weeks. So it's at least 35 weeks. Well, no, because you also want to use one on your weapon. So there's at least 40 weeks if you get perfectly different ones every single time. Which is not going to happen. So it's probably going to be at least double that. So it's going to be like 80 weeks of progress. So if you thought the monster park took long.
Well, that's all. Can I still roll 3% attack on the weapon?
No, because it's a low tier soul, so it has the low tier variants of soul buffs.
Okay.
So you're really just getting it for that initial burst and hoping that that does more damage than 3% attack over the whole boss fight. So it's possible that it's not better for you. It's possible. But if you're pretty bursty class, it probably is. And for the shorter boss fights, definitely is. For me right now, I have critical rate, so...
Yeah, I think like realistically, I'm just gonna stick with the 3% attack I got from I think it was Sickness.
For the whole,
the arcane weapon, but when I actually switch into it, that is.
Yeah, because it's tier D, which is like D lowest. I think the best thing you can get is 5 all stat, I think.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
That's the price you pay.
I was actually wondering, because I don't remember where I heard it, and I haven't been able to find it when I was trying to Google for it. But I was, when I was doing my arcane weapon, I noticed some guys saying that it mattered in terms of how much you gain from star forcing, or like overall stat, how high your flame was. So I was wondering if that was like just random garbage he said, or if it matters which order I do it in with flame and star force and potential cubing.
He said the stat on your weapon determined...
Yeah, it was like he had an arcane weapon, same stars and as the other one he has lying around. One of them had 5 more weapon attack or something. So I didn't know if it mattered if I flamed first or if I had to start first or something to get the maximum stat, or if it was just some random garbage.
Oh, I mean, the only difference I can think of is like when you transpose items, because then you can lock on like extra stats to the base stats, right? That's why we transpose the Petmark and the Dominator, and that's why Dual Blades transpose the Fafnir Katara onto the Sweetwater to get more base stats on it. But other than transposing, there's no way of like getting higher stats by the order of operations or anything. No, that's all the same. But was he like showing you a different knuckle that had different stats or something?
I think it was. I can't remember exactly. I didn't look at it for very long. I was just wondering. Oh, that's one of the things I definitely wanted to ask about if that was the thing. So I might just have misunderstood something or whatever.
Okay. Because he had an arcane knuckle, but was the number like a little bit off, or was it like an extra tier off then?
It was like 5 more weapon attack with the same flame that didn't have weapon attack and the same amount of stars, so I didn't exactly know why that was.
He had the same amount of... Okay, wait, he had the same amount of stars.
Yeah.
And he had a flame, but was it the same weapon? Was also a knuckle?
Oh, I think so, but again, I didn't look that much into it. I just figured I would ask if that was actually a thing.
Well, because flames are based on the base attack of the weapon. So if it's a different weapon, it can have the same tier, but the numbers can be off a little bit. So
that might just
yeah.
been me who was an idiot looking too fast. I don't know.
It's possible, but I mean, not aware unless there's like some huge revelation I'm not aware of.
Okay.
Yeah. The order shouldn't matter. No, I know in non-reboot it does. Like in non-reboot, you have to scroll first before you can even Star Force. Star Forcing is like something you do to finish off the item when the scrolling is already done. But we have no scrolling, so we can go get right to that. So we're good on Legion, good on Lynx, I guess, right? You know what to do there.
Yeah, I got an idea now. So.
Good on the Matrix, good on your skills, good on ID.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think Shades keep one line on WSE, I think. That just scales better into end. And the main thing when it comes to like whether you min-max on your WSE and you go into 3 lining like better than this, like you said, those are very expensive. Plus, we have to wait for the reboot passive to come in first before you make such insane like investments. Because like let's say that the boss damage from 20 does change to 30, and you can gain like 0.5% final damage or something by going for attack lines on your secondary instead of this. Like that is a decision that is going to be very expensive, so you'll have to make sure that every other option is not cheaper, right? So, which probably until a very far point they are, because secondaries have a lot of variants, so they are pretty expensive to min-max on. So I can imagine that at some point, you know, if you're trying to get like Black Mage ready, you might want to move some stuff around there if nothing changes with the boss damage lines. But until then, I think with the passive changing, because I'm pretty sure Shade has a lot of percentage damage, right, when you're bursting?
Yeah, it feels that way at least.
Because you're at 600. And this is with 2 boss damage familiars?
No, that one is actually without familiars.
It's without, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Yeah, so that's closer to 700 then, if you have those on.
Yeah, and that is not exactly as I'm bursting that stat window either. It's just with the buffs I'm able to keep up 100% of the time, so there's not guild buffs either.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you'll be closer to like 800 probably with like special boss buffs and everything on you, which means that the change from damage bonus to final damage is probably going to be a pretty big increase for you as well, which means the damage lines could actually be equivalent to attack. We'll have to see, or like close enough to that. Changing to it would be so expensive that it's kind of silly to do that.
Staying with the stat window for a second, I was actually wondering, because I noticed you mentioned at some point there was going to be overhaul of the
Inner ability.
ability, and I'm not exactly sure when that actually comes around, but when it does, should I be trying to get the second crit line and just reacquire the attack speed? Or is it like fine to just go for crit with the amount I've saved up?
I'm like very risk aversive because I've tried to go for crit before on characters and I've been hurt before. So like with both my Demon Avenger and my Marksman, I've tried to go for crit before and it has never worked. The thing is, if the main thing that you're trying to do is get the crit, which will be with circulators, and then roll back the attack, and that's basically what you're looking for, you could do that sooner rather than later if you want to. It's mainly just about, do you is the spending the money on the crit rate, is that worth it in the current time? Because that's all. 6 mil is definitely going to be enough to roll back your attack speed, and you can maybe roll something that's less than trash on the third line. 6 mil would be enough for that. I guess it's mainly for people who are in a situation where you currently have like 500k or something, and you're considering maybe doing it. I would say no, definitely 100% wait. But yeah, for you, I wish we had some kind of calculator we could just throw in the numbers and see like how much money do you spend on average on circulators, because that seems wildly variant as well. Some people get it on like the third circulator. I know my mom during Chaos Circulator sales spent about 18 bill trying to get the 38% buff duration line and never saw it on her bishop, so
yeah, okay.
It's a little all over the place. I think there's more guaranteed upgrades to make now, so I would probably look for other stuff, not because the change to the inner ability would be so beneficial for you, but more because spending the money in other places is probably more beneficial for you. But I do want to stay with the window that we're at for now, because I do notice for your hyperstats that you have it kind of set up for mobbing and bossing together.
That is mostly because I just forgot about it most of the time.
Okay.
So I've only recently started trying to remember to switch it around.
Right.
So I just took like an overall performing setup.
Yeah. Do you have your bosses kind of clustered together through the week?
Yeah, usually it's right after the reset, or if I'm working, it's like at the end of the week.
Because it's a good idea to try to get all your bosses done in 1 or 2 days, so that you can just switch to the bossing setup, get all the bosses done, know that you're not going to be training much, you're just going to do dailies, whatever, during that time. And then after that, you commit to switching it to the mobbing setup, and then you try to squeeze in as much training as possible until the bossing setup gets back. Not because switching for 10 mil is that important, or not even because clicking a lot is very annoying, but just to kind of cordon the two off and know that whatever situation you're in like the ideal situation to do what you're doing. Because if you're going to be training past 260, you want to squeeze out as much experience as possible. Yeah, because what you could definitely do is just get your bonus experience to 15, and then like your critical damage and your percentage damage both to 10, maybe to 11. And your kill speed will still be exactly the same, right? The only thing you'll have to make sure is that your critical rate still hits 100, but that is possible to just move around some link skills. The current event buff definitely will give enough crit, right? And maybe put a little bit more in crit and a little bit less in crit damage and regular damage, but you're just to get that experience up as high as possible to squeeze out the value of your time, because experience just, you're not getting that much at this point. So as long as you can kill properly, and definitely when you're in Limina, it's going to be more important to squeeze out as much experience as possible while you're training, as long as it doesn't interfere with your kill speed and with your gathering.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that includes moving your Legion into experience as well. So that's why I have like the checklist. I don't know if you've seen that one, bossing checklist that I use to basically just go over everything and make sure that you set everything properly before you start mobbing, before you start bossing.
Let's see that actually.
That's usually the list I go for. I do myself. I actually made this because I always forgot at least one thing. And then someone requested the command that I make this, so I use it for myself. I just go down the list, and I use this as well in the Project CRA videos, where I basically just go over these things to show everything that I'm using, so people know exactly like what are the parameters that I'm using to do the bosses with. So check your party status, because anyone in the chat has done this before, where you're like trained for an hour and you're like, oh, my rates are kind of bad, and then you notice that you're actually in party with someone who's offline, and that eats up 40% of your meso, and that's painful. So you don't want to have to do that. What are the right equips? So sometimes you switch between mobbing and bossing. I have a secondary that technically gives me a little bit more damage on regular monsters, so I switch between that. I even switch between titles to give me a little bit more all stat, just anything that's necessary. Pendant of the Spirit, I usually equip that the night before, stay online, and charge it overnight. Keep that on. Enough buffs, make sure you have everything before you get started, etc., etc. Link skills, Legion, yeah, and just set everything, and then just have at it. As long as you kind of go over this list, you know, once you've set up for the week, you know the only thing you have to do is make sure that the link skills aren't on another character, and switch back the Legion block to EXP, but then everything else is kind of already set. Like your Matrix is set, your Hyperstats are set, your guild skills, you know, those will just recuperate. Familiars, double-click that. And if you do that, then, you know, you should have everything under control.
Right. Yeah, because as you say, there's usually one or two things you forget.
Yeah.
I've had that happen way too many times as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the end of the world, but it adds up over time, right? You keep forgetting one thing always, yeah. You're just wasting hours, valuable hours.
Yeah.
Just check your... I could add some more... I can always add more stuff. Is like check the timing on your pet, on your pendant, you know, because... My very first hard lucid run I had, my pendant ran out right before phase 3. It's unlucky. Stuff like that can happen.
Yeah. That feels like one of those 1 in a million things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if you make a checklist, then you gotta have everything, right?
That's true. Better safe than sorry.
Yep. Yep. I think we did end up clearing it, but it's like the dumbest thing that can... Like, I went through everything, like double checked, triple checked everything, we sure everything was right, and then the pendant expires like we're halfway through phase 2. You're like, oh god.
Especially painful back when we were running double Golox necks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's break the set.
Break the set bonus, exactly, yeah. That's what happened. That is what happened, yeah. Okay, so any other non-equip stuff? Legion makes sense, link skills make sense. Hyperstats. Okay, so let me look at the backups things first. So right now you're in 17 Abzo.
I have more than 17 on all of them.
Oh, 18, yeah, okay.
But it's mostly because I actually started to get some arcane pieces that I wasn't sure if I needed to start them further.
Mm-hmm.
If it was better to spend my meso elsewhere, because I've been a little tired lately of just trying out stuff and then figuring out later, oh, you just wasted all your meso because you're not going to use this anyway.
Can you give an example of that?
It's mostly just, for example, when I first started out, I cubed everything to legendary and 3-lined it, and after that I found out, oh, stars are a thing, and it's kind of nice to be able to do the transfer, so you don't have to farm up the weekly things for rep, so you can just use Petsware, which drops in abundance.
Yeah, where it feels like a detour, but it actually gets you to the finish line a bit faster.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already got a bunch of the stuff to 18. Was that just kind of like having backup, so just trying, and most of it just ended up working kind of thing, or was that a lot of booming as well?
I have had some booming, but it's usually been on things where I had backups anyways.
Good.
I'm a bit hesitant to even go into starring without having enough meso to actually get back to where I was.
Mm-hmm. That's a good habit to be in.
Yeah. Then I just went a little harder on some pieces, which was like the Fafnir, because I have so many of them.
Because you have so many backups?
Be sticking around. The Superior neck is kind of an odd one. I don't even remember why I got that one up to 21 before everything else is following.
Well, that's good that you did.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't boom at least.
Yeah, well, that's that's always a nice thing to have happen to 700 Golox coin items, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are a bit of a pain right now to replace. Because this character is quite old, right? You might have backups for that still.
Yeah, I was playing on NA first before EU came out,
Mm-hmm.
and back then I was playing Demon Avenger. So I kind of took some of the things I learned from there, but I think I was starting out right before the Flames actually came. We still had the
Nebulites, yeah.
yeah, Nebulites, yeah.
That was a thing. Yeah, those were wild.
I never did get the 2 seconds debuff reduction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very... Yeah, you had to get like some very specific... oh god, yeah. Some very specific Nebulites, or you hit like a 20% boss or something like that.
Yeah.
Without that, all the other ones were pretty much shit, but then if you hit that one, you struck gold.
Yeah, and it was so rare you could even get them, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the main thing was the Maplehood Watch events, right? You can get all of the A ranks from that, do it on all your characters, and then fuse them together. Hope you get something useful.
Yeah.
Because you only got shitty ones from Maplehood Watch.
Yeah.
Got like the defans and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to backups, so I think you're in an excellent position to basically chill and just wait until you can do full arcane swap, because you're doing hard lucid hard will pretty handily. You are at 40k stat. I think you will be doing just fine on Varicilla. When it comes to Chaos Gloom and Chaos Darknell, since you're mainly a support, I think you're probably at the point where you can do fine there as well. It's kind of gonna depend on how much you want to solo and how quickly you want to, but I think you're in the perfect position to just gather droplets, get them from the store, get them from training, and I think in that sense, I would say, because how much money do you have right now, and how much money would you say you make roughly in a week?
Currently I'm only sitting on about 10 bill,
Mm-hmm.
but it kind of varies a lot. Sometimes I don't do anything else beside the bossing run and the what's it called? The Maple tour.
So yeah.
I'm one of those people who get 7 runs because it's just easy. And I just see it as like an expensive subscription.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like 3 bill a week without training?
Yeah, but then I also have sometimes where I just go full on ham on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, whole thing is relative, I guess, but I'm out of totems around the 17th or something.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, at least the months where I know it's not really so fancy for me to do the training and actually get some SO, I at least spend some of the totems on just getting mules up.
Right. So would you say you like gains wise, you do at least what, 2 totems a week on your?
Yeah, I would say that's
your
a
shade?
good average. Yeah, as an average, I think that's pretty.
And how much would you make per totem?
I make
like 1.5.
No, it's not that high. I only make like 1.2 or something.
Okay.
I did make 1.6 when we had the back pit, but that's gone. So.
It's gone. I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 1.2. So let's say 2.5. So like 5.5 bill a week.
Yeah, I think that's a good estimate for like an average.
Mm-hmm. So you do have quite a lot of time. So one of the things, if you do move to the new area for more experience, you will of course see those rates plummet, but not in the worst way. You'll probably see your meso rates get cut in half, but that's less than half of what you're making. So you're only going down by like a quarter, right? So you would see your rates going down closer to like 2 totems, 6, 1.2 to like 4.2. Something like that per week. But the main thing I'm calculating here is that the winter store that we're seeing has 900 droplets in it, which kind of means that you could go for just the... have you bought droplets this event already?
Yeah, I've been trying to buy them out, all of them so far.
Mm-hmm.
I threw in there.
The meso and the core ones, or just the core ones, or?
All of them.
All of them, okay. But you have already, or you're just working on that slowly?
I think I'm missing like 10 Esfera droplets from the red course.
Right, okay. Because I was gonna say, with so many droplets on the way, in that much time, it could be a good idea, because that's like guaranteed enough to be able to make your arcane set, right? And I think just making a 17-star arcane set is already going to be quite a nice big boost for you, because you know that you can go much harder on the arcane because you're going to keep that for way longer than the Abzo, right? So you can go harder on the flames, you can go harder on the potentials to really try to min-max it. And Star Forcing even just to 17 is going to be an upgrade versus 18, and I think you have one piece that's at 19. For Abzo, it's going to be a huge increase, especially also because Overdrive triggers off of your weapon's base attack, so that's why switching over to the Abzo is also really nice.
Yeah.
And that's for Arc. That's even bigger because we have Overdrive and we have our passive, and we have another skill. Oh god, I'm blanking now. We have 3 skills that scale off of our weapon's base attack. Oh yeah, and the Goddess Blessing as well. So for us, that's a huge buff. Not so much just, you know, the actual stats and the set bonus, but, you know, your kit gets better as well. But Overdrive is quite a nice buff for you, especially together with that big punchy skill, right?
Yeah.
Throw in the Angelic Buster link, which has a bunch more percentage damage, by the way. throw those those 3 together, and that's a nice combo there. So I think, well, first things first, you can get rid of your Sakum Capes. Just clean house on those. Whether you keep the belts or not, that's going to depend on how long it's going to take us to get to the point where you want to get... like, do you have any backups superiors themselves, belts or earrings?
One of each.
One of each, okay, yeah.
Then I have one earring that's currently just working as meso gear because it had 2 line.
Right, yeah, you have to get another one at that point.
Yeah.
I see, yeah. That's the old one refurbished.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't mind going at a slower pace, just finding new ones. For me, it's a lot about the journey also, which is also why I was a bit slower on the Sonium. I was already eligible to open up the first zone when it released, but I didn't do it because I wasn't really in the mood for the story at that point, and that matters to me for whatever reason, I guess. But that was kind of a slap in the face when I did, and I found out it was the exact same story as they had in the Glory event.
Yeah. They just re-release it basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like that for Moonbridge and for Labyrinth and yeah, for Limina, all of that as well.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yep.
But at least for Hotel, when I actually get to 270, I'm guessing that one is new.
Yeah, that one's new, and those monsters are nothing to joke around with. Those guys need an insane amount of sacred power to kill, so that's like one of those dailies that people at 275 even will have to group up and do dailies together for, or it's gonna take, I think it's gonna take like an hour per daily or something if you don't. It's quite massive.
Well, still a bit off.
Yeah.
Don't level that fast.
So, well, if you already bought out the droplets right now for Mesos, I guess this advice is coming a little bit too late, but I would have said just get the ones for the cores, because there's not too much otherwise in cores that's very useful for you, except for the flames that you mentioned. But I would like not buy the Meso ones, but just save up on Meso, and then because the chance, like you'll have to get drops, which is, you know, fucking minuscule chance for that, or get enough droplets to be able to purchase all of the items themselves individually. But like you said, you only with Lucid and Will, you started pretty recently, so you need some time to get the drops anyway for those, right?
Yeah, and looking back at it, it was probably a shit idea to actually just buy the weapon as soon as I had the coins for it. But it was just like one of those milestones I'd been looking forward to, so I ended up doing it. At the very least, I don't have as much of a meso need when I have to get them to 17, since I've been able to work on the weapon and shoulder with the funds I had before I bought the rest of it, and at least throw the Master Craftsman cubes on when I find them and whatnot.
Yeah, try to slowly see if you can get unique squeezed out of those.
Yeah.
I guess the weapon to 17, if you equip that now, that gives you probably more damage output than the... Well, the main thing is that you're losing a lot of boss. Well, you're losing, what is it, 50% boss?
Breaking the Abso set at least, and I wasn't sure. That was also one of my questions if it was even worth doing now, because I don't feel like I particularly need it. And the Abso hat was just going to be a temporary one, if that was just a waste of time in terms of just sinking Meso in, because I've been doing a lot of that. But
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, sorry.
For a long time.
Yeah, maybe usually I think it's like a good idea to just change all the pieces at once. Just go from one set to the other. But like weapon is something else though. Because when you're looking at your range buffed, you're looking at like... Yeah, it's like close to 30 when it's buffed, right?
Yeah.
So you're losing...
I think I go somewhere into the
losing
area
50%.
42 mil when I'm having the temporary ones as well. I'm actually bursting.
Yeah, so it means with the other weapon you probably run into like 48 or 49 or something with a new weapon. But you're losing like 50% damage for it. Right? Because you're losing 30 from the set bonus. And a line of 20, well actually more. Because you have 60... This one has 98% boss damage, Jesus. Okay, and then the other one has 71, so that's 27% different, plus the sub bonus. You're losing 57% boss damage. Over the grand scheme of things of having like 600%, no, well, you're closer to 700%, right? You're losing like less than a tenth there. But if you're gaining around a tenth in range, plus the fact that overdrive gets better, it's probably about a net wash right now, but I think if you 17 star it, that it might be better to switch. Plus the main thing is that if you're losing boss damage but nothing much else, if you make the decision to move on to the newer area to train there, you want to get the more flat damage increase rather than the boss damage, right? Because so you could be able to kill the monsters better.
True.
That's where all of that extra attack percentage will come in, and the base attack.
Yeah, okay, I'll look into making the Abso hat then, I think.
Yeah, maybe just temporarily for bossing. But you already... What is the current one? You currently have an 18 star with 9... Was it 996? Yeah.
Let's see.
Or 19 star, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's all worth it for the 30%. I think it's better to just save up a whole lot of money. Like, in general, what I would do in your situation, but like, it's kind of up to you, is like, I would look forward to like practicing the higher level bosses. I've probably already equipped the weapon now for training and maybe switch back to the Abso for bossing. And then start training in the new area and just check the rates there and see if that's something I want to be able to do or not. I think the hit is worth it for you. The main thing is that people take a hit in familiars, which you're in a good position in already. You don't really need anything there anymore, for this character at least. You take a hit in droplets, which I think is not that big of a deal. You have your droplets. There's a lot of droplets coming. If you want to be able to switch into the full arcane set before winter hits, of course, then you just want to stay in Limina and make more droplets there first, and then make money while you have it. And then you're like, okay, now I have enough. I can make the full set. And then you just move on to the next area to level, and you wait until you have enough lucid and will drops if you don't have enough of those, right? And there's a droplet exchange coming, so that should facilitate that. But then that's something you can do. And then when you move over to the new area, or you just like, I'm going to move over now, start getting those better rates of experience. And then I'll just buy the droplets, whatever I need left. Maybe I'll make some more with the Kana if I'm, feeling like farming to make up for the loss of Meso or something. Then you make up for the difference in how many droplets you still need, and then you just buy them out with the money you have when the time winter comes. Then make the whole set. Because in that second situation, you're just going to be sitting on your money first. There's only a few things to really spend your money on, and that would be like min-maxing some potentials, which I don't think is a super priority, and maybe getting all of your CRA to 21. that'd probably be what to do. But until then, you want to wait for like backups, right? You want to get more Galax coins. You want to wait for backups for Superior and stuff. You did have like 2,000, didn't you? Like you had some Galax coins, right? Or 3,000. Wow, that's a lot actually. So you could push harder on the accessories as well if you want to, but I would let that get decided by, do you need it for your boss fights? Like if you're part of your boss, you feel like a boss team, you're doing what you're doing, and you guys are getting closer to clearing the boss, and you're carrying your weight with this gear, you definitely will be. I don't think there's a need to push everything. I would just hold off for more backups and then let that decide where you go and where you spend your money. But the main upgrade I would look at for now is just like full 17-star Arcane. And there is just the time gating of Lucid and Will. So appropriately with the Lucid and Will time gate, you can decide if you still have that much time until you need to buy the items anyway, why not train somewhere in the meantime where you get more money, as long as the downsides of not getting droplets and not getting the familiar cards isn't that big of a deal for you. Because if you can kill relatively well in the new areas, you can get double the rates in the same amount of time for experience.
Yeah, okay. I'll try it out at least, see how it feels.
Yeah, see if there's a map with like a fun rotation, because you probably have gotten used to to Limina now so much that's gonna maybe be hard to get you out of there.
Yeah, and also that I don't have the sacred power to even one shot in the first area, even in damage gear, unless I'm like fully buffed up. So I'm guessing when you add a totem on top of that, it might be a bit hard to keep up.
Yeah, yeah. And have you tried with everything, like with all the buffs you have available, like the DRG potions, Monster Park potion, maybe even the Legion damage buff, guild skills, with all of those?
Yeah, with those I do one shot. I guess I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, just try forehead. Like, I would go in and try a session, and do a battle analysis. Yeah, cause for me that was the main thing, because I blew up all of my arcanes trying to get the full arcane set. I was like, okay, do I really want to fully commit to that again? Do I want to make a bunch of droplets? But then once I saw the winter update and be like, okay, if I still want to at that point, I can just buy the shop out and just buy the whole set. I'd rather just make way more gains, because the other thing is, when I know that I make more experience when I'm training, that makes me want to train more, which means the amount of money that I make isn't going down as much as usual. But that's for me, who barely ever finishes all my totems, so it's a slightly different situation than yours. If you're already pretty keen to finishing up your totems, then it would depend on, oh, there's a 5, 10, 15, or there's a 30% off, I want to upgrade some arcane stuff. Then maybe, you know, you train a little bit more on the Kana or something to make up the difference.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering actually with the like the equipped totems. I do still have kept them around, 2 of the golden versions with strength. Is that better than having the dark ones with like the...
It's like really close, right?
It's actually Dex, the dark ones, so it's still the offstat, I guess.
Yeah, because it's Dex and dark, and then gold and because what is the hang on, it's like 25, 27 stat and 15 attack.
27 and 10, and the dark ones are 36 and 15.
36 and 15, yeah. So you're looking at a 9 to 5 difference. So the attack is probably always going to be better. Because we're pretty low base attack on our weapon, so comparatively attack is a little bit more high value, but it's always like a roughly 3 attack, like 3 stat per attack value.
Yeah, I just kept them around just in case, because they always have been saying they drop my range, even though I know range is not everything at all.
Well, yeah, range isn't everything, because to like representative towards like how much is the number that's going to be put out. But if you switch equips around, they don't give you any utility, like none whatsoever, and the only thing they do is change your damage multiplier, as long as you are switching it when you are in your situation where you're outputting the most damage. Like, let's say that you are trying to switch them around when you're in mobbing gear, it can be off, right? Because you're all of your variables are off at that point. But if you're in your damage gear and you're somewhat buffed, and then you see if does one give more range than the other, and there's no utility involved whatsoever, then more range means more damage, always. But it's like when you look at the damage range itself, you know, and you're comparing between characters and between situations and with different boost notes and everything, then there's a whole bunch of variables that you don't know. But if you're switching one equip for another one, and one just gives more range than the other, then that will give you more damage, as long as there's no utility involved. No crit rate, no crit damage, no IED, no set bonuses with boss damage, etc., etc.
Okay. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're pretty close, right? 9 strength to 5 attack. So 5 attack is roughly like, I don't know, like later on in the game, probably like 15 stat worth. So it's like a 6 stat difference. So they're very close together. But yeah, at least you have one Dark Doom. I couldn't even get a single one on my arc. I did 2 full events every single day, and I have 3 gold Dooms on my arc. That's the best I could do.
RNG is a bitch sometimes.
Yeah. I think my Cannoneer had like 7 Dark Avengers. I was like, okay, cool.
Always the mules.
Yeah. There's so many mules. Like my Bishop has like 3 intellect ones, and my Battle Mage, and my Paladin has 3 strength ones. Like, yeah, okay, no problem on those. But my hero and my arc, not a single dark for my stat. Unlucky. But you know, keeps you playing.
Yeah, true. Hope it comes back one day. Maybe I'm more lucky.
Yeah, they've really been playing around it. Guys, I need all of you to start complaining to get Dark Lords of Darkness back, okay? Because they've been just skipping this event. These are the best in slot totems that most of you guys don't have, okay? You guys need to make a big stinker out of this so they bring it back whenever they have time to throw down events, alright? I need you guys. Go, minions. Fly. Send forth the message. Give us back Dark Lords of Darkness. Flood the message boards. Go. Got the medal. Yeah, so if you do decide to go to a new area, that does mean that your drop in Meso gear is basically gonna be somewhat retired for the next X amount of time. Just gonna come out when you're bossing, I guess, for drop. But yeah, see if you can do it with the spirit necklace, spirit pendant or not. It's always a little bit tricky to see if you have enough damage without that.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
And your tattoo is kind of hybrid, which is fine, I guess, at this point. Rings. How are you doing for primals? I don't think I saw those in the...
They should be in the bottom, between all the random shit.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. I think I have 6 primal essences.
Okay, that's fine. At this point, you're having so many kind of treasures, though, that there's a very good chance you get your kind of treasure to... I don't know, what's the number you're aiming for the stuff? Are you like a 21 is good enough, or like 22 or busts? Or eventually 22?
I think it's somewhat in between thing, where right now I feel like 21 is my late game, but I know if I actually get to the point where everything is 21, I might start to think differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard it's actually a lot higher chance to boom than you first think to go for that 1 extra star.
Yeah, I think it's around a 30% chance to boom from 21 to 22 or something. Because of going back down and every chance to boom every single time, yeah. Going from 20 to 22 is basically a 50-50 kind of thing. Almost. It's like a 40+% chance.
Yeah. I was wondering, because I just included the, what are they called? The familiar cards, mostly because I did want to throw some at my bossing mule, but I wasn't sure if there was still some familiar that would be nice to have.
Large drop rate, right? I don't think you have that one.
No, I didn't have that one.
That is one that is very useful if you just everywhere. Like right now, the spider is around 60%, and large drop rate is 100%. So there's another 40% drop rate that you could gain from that. That's the one that most people, yeah, that most people hunt for if you have a lot of cards. So if you do decide to stay in Limina for a bit more, that would be one that you try to go for. But definitely, like, the chance of that is so low versus if you can get a lot more relatively easily accessible buffs for your bossing mule instead, then that is also value there that I wouldn't underestimate.
Yeah, the Sweetwater Pendant,
Mm-hmm.
by the way. I did transpose it at, I think it was 56 or 60 stat, but I wasn't sure if that was good enough.
60, yeah. 60 and 6 is fine, yeah. That's totally fine.
Okay. I was wondering if I had to redo that.
Yeah, no. Like, some people went higher, but that's because they had like 2,000 compensation flames lying around. Like, that's why they went really hard. 60 and 6 is very, very solid. I would even, like, I think a 60 and 5 is even, for most people, good enough to transpose. So you're definitely in a safe zone with that. You can tell, by the way, that it was 60 because of the... you can see the difference between the blue numbers, between strength and the ones that didn't get extra stats transposed. It's 88 and 79, so you see it's 9 off. And that 9 is the extra stat that went into your flame to make it relevant for the level 160 tier. So you know it was 60 originally.
Didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's a little minor thing, because they move stats around. Sometimes when they don't have stats at all, they give you like a magenta minus number, because they had to like take it off of a 0 base. It's peculiar that you have 342 MP, by the way. That's an interesting number. Does mine have that as well? Oh yeah, 342. That's so weird.
It's an odd number to stop.
Never noticed that.
Yeah, I was also wondering if there's like something I should incorporate into a daily routine that I'm not already doing, because currently it's just working on the symbols I have left.
Mm-hmm. You only have a Sphera, right? And then the new ones.
Yeah, and then I do the Maple Tour and Golox, and I try to get the Commercies done as well. Since
do Ursus?
Yeah, most of the time I do.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty quick. You can even solo run, right? During it's 4-hour period now that it gives double mezzo. You can even solo run it if there's no one else queuing. If you just fight it until you die, you can get rank S pretty easily.
Yeah, that's also what I've been doing. I just usually, when I don't do it, it's mostly because I forget it.
Yeah, okay.
It has to be done.
Yeah, I have like one set time where I go, so then I don't forget. But that would be daily as well, that if I didn't set that, I would forget it quite often. Let's see. Are you doing Monster Park on any character?
Yeah, currently I'm just doing it the Adele just to eventually get the medal. But otherwise I've been using it a little bit for mules.
Oh, okay.
It's not daily, but most days.
How's your dinero supply looking?
Currently I have, today I have like around 1,000. I think I made that one before I went to work.
Yeah. That could be a thing if you do want to push the accessories eventually. I think you're good for a while, right? Because you're doing the whole switch to Arcane, so like all of the Star Forcing, all of the cubing, all of the flaming there. And then you're probably going to be pushing CRA first. And then at that point, we should have the Reboot passive change. We should know more clearly what you want to do with like your WSE. If it's nothing, then the next thing online would be your accessories, which would probably be the rings first, and then probably the Superior Golok stuff, and then the dineros after that. So I think it's probably a good idea to do some dinero dailies, but not go too crazy. Do you have your boat ranked up to the Dreadnought?
Yeah.
So I mean, CPQ can be sometimes a little bit tricky to find people, and then goldways are just pure torture. So just squeezing in the regular Commercy dailies, just like spamming 12 Dolces, to doing that every now and then when you do have the time is probably a good idea, just to slowly build up the dineros. Because I think you want to, if you want to push these guys to 21, it's good to have a bank of like roughly 3k dineros, I think. Because the pendants are quite expensive to replace when you boom those.
Yeah, I still need to get lucky in the pep mark as well. So
Yeah, until then. I think at this point it's even a better chance to start running hard Damien for the eye patch and to just completely skip that. I mean, I've gotten a bunch of pap marks, but it seems to be like I know people who've gotten their eye patch before the pap mark at this point, so it's just a sad situation.
I didn't run it for a very long time because I just didn't know about it. So I haven't been at it for as long as I've been able to do it. I think I'm only like, I don't know, 4 months, maybe 5 months in.
That's fine. As long as you have the boat update, like if you have the boat upgraded, that just means that you're like, oh, I would just want to do my dailies, and then you just do them. You know, it's like less than 10 minutes and you're done. The problem is building up to the boat. That's the biggest time investment. So if you have that behind you, then it's all about just cashing in, basically. I guess something else is that you could be trying to maximize on souls if you care about that for other characters, but since you already have Arcane Weapon, you have 3% attack, that's probably pretty low priority. But you could be doing like usually like the daily bosses that I think are good to do, like pop a 10-minute drop coupon and then do those, is like the normal Root Abyss bosses, mainly because of Queen and Vellum, because of the soul shards, but like a small chance of some flames and some cubes. And then normal Magnus because of the soul shard and the chance for some drops maybe, and then normal Arc because of the chance of the primals and the potions and the confusion fragments and stuff, like the drops with a little bit more value. And then if you have time, you can throw in Ramaru as well for a small chance as well for the wealth acquisition and experience accumulation potions that he can drop straight up. Yeah, technically Pink Bean can as well, but then you have to go there, you have to go get the orb, and there's like the statues, and usually I don't bother with that one. But those bosses, like if you feel like it, usually I just pop like a 10-minute coupon and run through those real quick. That's the thing you can do, but it depends on how much you really want those soul shards for those other characters.
Yeah, I'm not really that into second maining, so it would only be for bossing murals, and I feel like that's a bit excessive.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I recognize that is excessive. No worries there. Other than that, yeah, symbol dailies, of course, very important. And the new area dailies, right? Because that takes forever to level those up.
Yeah.
As soon as you get to 265, you get another one. Yay! And it doesn't speed up the previous one, Sag. But
nice.
Nice. And then when you get to 270, you get another one with a new symbol attached. So you don't build that sacred power very quickly whatsoever, but you do get a lot of strength from the levels. You already noticed, right? You have 700 already.
Yeah.
So it's 500 from the base and 200 per level instead of 300 from the base and 100 per level. So that is quite nice, especially with all of the flat stats helping you out with flat damage on the mobs, killing those quicker. But other than that, it's mostly just weekly bosses, man. I think you've got it pretty much covered, I would say. I guess events, right? Events can come into play into like, do you need items? Do you want items from the shop? You know, the crystal challenge, that kind of stuff, right? That's like the extra dailies for you to do. Legion dailies for the Legion coins. Other than that, what do I do on my arc? I do Maple Tour, I do Ursus, I do the 2 dailies in the area because I have my arcane symbols maxed. I do the crystal challenge and typically that's around maxed when I did my 2 dailies in those areas. It's like roughly maxed. And then and the Legion dailies, and that's it, I guess, on my arc. Yeah, and then training if I want. Yeah.
Okay. It's just if I missed something that was actually pretty important.
No, think so. I would make sure to do the Commercy dailies every now and then, but other than that,
yeah,
I think you're good.
Let's see. I think I had another question, just can't find it. Oh yeah, if there's any if you have like some sort of calculator that's pretty neat to actually be using once in a while. Because currently I'm not really using any type of calculator aside from just setting up the ID one, since you asked me to put in something about my stats.
Yeah.
And also the flames, I found one that was based off one of your flame scores. If there's some of them that's really lacking behind, where it would be a pretty easy gain.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna like ignore the Abzo, right? Because we don't want to invest in that at this point. 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 9, 2, 9, 3, 9, 3, 6, 4, 6, 9, 4, 5, 7, 6, 7, 8, 3, 1. It's probably mostly going to be. I'm expecting that the Gallic stuff is probably going to be the weakest, but like compared to how big it could upgrade. 6, 9, 8, 2, 9, 2, 6, 10. That's pretty close. That's pretty nice. That's of course gonna be bad because bad flames is bad. Cup is fine. Even your weapon and your arcane weapon is already pretty good. G6 with 10%, that's already pretty reliable. So when it comes to the flames, there's two calculators, right? There's one just to calculate what your flame score is, and there's also a cost calculator that Brandon made that you can use to kind of calculate how many flames is it gonna take to get a certain flame score on an item. So what you need for that is you need to roughly know what is the stat equivalent for you. You can pull this from the stat equivalent calculator that he has. I haven't used that one. You can kind of use it just from my my calculator and those numbers, just the 1-to-1, depending on the stage of the game you're in. Or you can pull it from like a huge calculator. And there is it just called calculator? Yeah, so there is a free version of the calculator, which is like a huge one, where you basically just put everything in that you have. And you can join his Patreon, and you can get the app. And I believe that one is like behind a paywall, but that one will be updated, so you can also make sure that once like the final damage stuff comes in and all of that, like, so like this one is no longer being updated, but it's being updated in the app if you think it's useful enough. So this is one where if you definitely know you're maining one character and you're like pushing 260 or going beyond, and min-maxing a little bit can actually have a significant difference in your final damage output. It can be very, very useful to throw everything in here, make sure that it's always up to date, whatever the latest version of the game. So the final version looks very different. I have the app. I forgot if I have to upload into it, but it's way more user-friendly. It takes you like step by step. It has way more of these things with like extra information and stuff like that. It's updated, but that is behind like his Patreon paywall, because I mean it is a significant amount of time and effort that goes into that, of course, and you can find it through patreon.com/metacalc. Excuse me. It can be very useful, especially because there's so many numbers, and at a certain point your brain can't really like, oh yeah, let me just throw all of this into the old brain calculator and shit out the perfect combination of stats. Because with all the moving parts, with a bigger Legion board, your hyper stats, and your link skills, like those three pieces alone, there's so many mutations, right? It's almost like playing chess with all of those things at the same time. Like, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So that would be an option for like a huge calculator. This would be like an option to be, you know, like let's say that we take like main stat 9, attack 3, secondary stat 10. That's like roughly what you want. So I would guess that your top is probably one where you can, so you're not any of the exceptions. Armor, let's say you use powerful flames, it's between this. You want to get roughly like 100, maybe a little bit more on the top, but I think 100. Calculate. Because right now, for yours, you're at like 92, right? So that's only like 8 stat anyway. You're looking at like 1 to 1.5 bill cost, 110 to 160 flames. But that would be to gain 8 stat, you know? because all the other flames seem fine. The other ones that I'm guessing are the ones without advantage on your was it your belt and your earring, because those are, earring was 36 and your belt is like equivalent of 39, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh, I can just check, of course. By the way, tomorrow I've forgotten. Now it seems like I have like a great memory, but tomorrow I will have forgotten all about this. Don't worry. Yeah, 39 and 36. So if you would want to go for like, let's say, like what it would be a significant enough improvement, 45 or something, right? Because I think that's roughly where the other one is, where the other superior earring is at. Oh, it was a pendant, by the way, my bad. Because that one, you know, this is like equivalent of 936, so that gets you closer to like 52. But if you, like, let's say we put 52 in just to say, right, oh, I want to get the same as the earrings, same multipliers, no flame advantage. Well, that's like almost 4 bill, right? But that's to gain 13 stat versus the 8 on the top. So let's say we try to go for 8 stats as well. So that would be like 44 for the, what is it, for the pendant? Yeah, so that is a little bit cheaper on average than the top. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A little bit. Yeah, those were the two that I was, okay. So my instincts on that were a little bit off on the other side, but pretty close. Yeah, that's probably where the biggest gains can be made. The thing will be, of course, you'll have a way higher chance that whatever flame you end up landing on the top will be something that's not as much as a downer as this one. Although this one only has 36 stat to lose, and the other one has 92 equivalent to lose. So, yeah, one of those things. But since those are already pretty good, it's probably not something I would worry about. I would probably worry more about flaming on the arcanes when you get those. Oh yeah, you can plug in real quick. You can plug it in for the weapon as well, of course. So for weapon, so let's say for powerfuls, right now you have tier 6 and... Hello? Oh, flame advantage is off. Oh, good shit, you changed that. You can't even accidentally click it anymore. And you have 10% damage right now. So that's 2.4 to 3.5 average, 250 to 370 flames on powerfuls. On Eternals, that's probably not that bad. Between 102 and 150, of course, and access to Eternals is quite low. So that is something high. But if you want to get higher on this, right, you can already see like how many flames is going to cost me, or how much money is it going to cost to get like even 2% damage increase there. That's between a 6.2 9 bill average cost to get 2% more damage. If you're looking for a tier 7, you have to do Eternals only, and that's only 1% chance. So even if you turn the damage down to 0, it's going to be somewhere between 330 and 500 average flames. And this might even be damage decrease because you're losing your 10% damage, right? So if you want any kind of damage along with that to maintain that, you're already looking at the thousands of Eternal Flames range. So I don't think trying to go for tier 7 is like ever really worth it. You could be like, oh, there's an event and we get those black flames that basically you can choose if you want the new flame or the old one, and it's the quality of an Eternal, then you can always throw those on the weapon when you're in this situation. Because let's say you get lucky and you get like a tier 6 with 14 or something, like that's also pretty unreliable to hit with Eternals, but at least you can always just go back to what you have. So that could be a thing to do. But otherwise I wouldn't worry about the flame on your arcane weapon, honestly. Like I have the, I believe I got the 10 and 15. Yeah, the tier 6 with the 10 and 15. And even just like if you wanted to roll that on average, like these numbers without compensation flames is just, it's pretty much impossible, right? So yeah, I think you're already flame on the weapon wise. I think you're like as good as it's going to get. The main thing, I mean, of course, is you want to Star Force it, and then all the other money is going towards trying to get 3-line, 2.5 line, 3-line on all the other stuff. Getting 2-line critical damage on the gloves, that's going to be an expensive ask. But that's going to be a huge increase for you as well.
Yeah, but one I've been holding off on for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want to do it on the Abso now, since you're so close to the switch over for sure.
Oh yeah, right.
You want to get it on the Arcane Glove, and then, you know, hopefully not blow it up. I have a triple prime on my glove, but third line was HP, sadly. It would have been very nice if that was not crit damage, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I don't think there was many more questions that I've written down, so I don't know if there was anything that didn't go over yet. I just forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was all of them.
Yeah, usually the last thing I do is just go over your equip window and see if there's any piece where you have like no idea what to do, or any one where you still have questions. Or if you know what the future holds for that specific equip.
Not particularly. Again, it was mostly just if I was going to start further on any of my pieces, just save up until I had Arcane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I think that's saving up to Arcane is the way to go. Because you don't need damage right now, right? You would want some damage. So it does come to, if you start training in the new area and you feel like you need the damage, it might be a matter of like, well, popping the weapon to 17, seeing how much of a difference that makes. And then on top of that, the only other thing that I could see making like a huge difference would be redoing some potentials on your current equips. Maybe pushing the legendary on your earring, maybe getting the kind of treasure some more strength, you know?
Yeah.
But other than that, like CRA is pretty high risk, so I would leave that to pretty far down the road. I feel like with this gear, you should be pretty good. It's just going to be a matter of popping all of those extra buffs, right? Make sure you have all of those on, including the guild skills and all of that. You will see a lot of damage. And then if you have the, like even the choo-choo set, stuff like that for extra damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to squeeze all that out. But redoing the hyper stats, right? Seeing if you, like, let's say that you can't kill it all quite quickly. Maybe you go down to like level 10 bonus experience and then go a little bit higher on critical damage, boss, regular damage, and maybe even boost up your attack power and strength as well in your hyper stats instead of going so high on the bonus experience. Because going down like 1% experience in the total pile of experience that you have, but increasing your strength and attack by enough to be able to one-shot, that'll make a huge difference in your experience, of course.
Oh yeah.
To get the value, get the value out of those totems.
Yeah, so I don't think there was much else, honestly.
Okay.
It's just really hard when you have been doing everything so long, kind of figuring it out on your own, and the further you get, the less people are actually in the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of hard to figure out where to go.
Yep.
So it's mostly just to get your opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Get some tips.
Well, I hope that was helpful for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Okay. Well, then since we are a little bit over half hour over time, I guess we'll wrap it up here. And wait, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, well, thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for listening and taking the advice, I guess. But yeah, I wish you best of luck, and we'll see you in those Tenebrous bosses soon. I think you'll be surprised with some practice that Gloom is more doable. Because yeah, some bosses just designed for party play, and some are very much more doable solo. And you'll see that. Well, you probably noticed that once you started doing Lucid in the beginning, where there's a little bit of a learning curve with the mechanics.
Yeah, I think it was until 260 I didn't even have the Spirit Ward on the bar, because I didn't actually know how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
When they give you like 3 fish and then they stop you from being debuffed. But it's kind of worded weirdly, so it didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, some translations from KMS are not ideal.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Well, best of luck, and I'll see you around the chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, cool. Another satisfied costumer. So we have a 263 Shade who is going to venture deeper into Tenebrous and possibly into Cernium to start training there. So yeah, keep an eye on the big updates like that, guys, especially if you're making those decisions for long term. There's a lot of people in the chat asking, so there's 800 droplets for sale for Mesos and 100 droplets for sale in the upcoming winter update, the current live update in KMS. Again, that's like 99% sure, but we've been copying that kind of stuff forever now from KMS, so I feel pretty confident in saying that that's what's coming. So that does mean if for that long term, right now you're not really at the time where you can switch to Arcane, but the real thing, the other big upgrades would just mean like spending a lot on Abzo and doing those weeklies and all of that stuff. It makes more sense to push harder on CRA, push harder on accessories, save up droplets, save up Mesos. Maybe not buy the Meso droplets right now, only buy the Neo Core droplets, and then save all your Meso for later. You can spend some of your money in the meantime upgrading your stuff, but you'll make sure that that money isn't stuck in droplets just sitting in your inventory if you don't have the Lucid and the Will droplets already to make the Arcane gear. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so with all of that in mind, if you guys enjoyed this session, I'm glad. Hopefully there was 1 or 2 or 3 things that you could pick up that you didn't know yet, or some things that were clarified that make a lot more sense for you right now. And if you are wanting to join the EU Guild, either in NA or EU, the Reboot Guild, I mean, there's a link for that in the description. If you want one of these sessions, there's also a link for that in the description with the whole process of what you can go through to get one of these sessions with me. And if you would like to share data with me that I can use as input to give advice to people in the game in the form of either battle analyses is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for training videos anywhere in Tenebris or in Cernium or Burnium. And I'm also looking for monster skill per hour in high level maps, basically anything over level 240 or over level 245, you know, like Moonbridge and higher level areas, monster skill per hour. Those will help me a lot as well as just input to be able to rank all the characters versus each other. So thank you in advance for all of that input, and I'll see you from you soon, and I'll read your comments if they're, well, I'll read all your comments. I always read all the YouTube comments. Still, I was still able to do that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.